But nevertheless, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Raphael as Frankenstein's monster. Holy crap.
Yes.
This looks so good. I am so
excited box
about
does
this.
look great. And it's great because it seems like now that you see that, you realize that the pictures we got before of this figure were definitely taken from the photo shoot for the box.
Yes.
Like now you realize, like, oh yeah, like this was like they lit it up good, and stuff, and love the lighting on that. That's just so beautiful.
Oh, absolutely. And I love it because a lot of what NECA has been doing with their Ninja Turtles line is that they've been making their boxes look as if they're movie like boxes, like how they were back in the day when you'd go into Blockbuster. They'd be on the shelf and they'd be like a movie you'd want to pick up. And that's kind of their bag anyway, because they do a lot of movie stuff. So seeing that bleed over into Ninja Turtles is fantastic. And then the two together, the Universal Monsters, their movies, and the Turtles and stuff. This is great. And I am so excited. Like, I'm very excited to have this box. Like, I would almost just purchase this box if it was just here's a print of this. I'd be like, oh, that's neat. I'd pay like money for that, I guess. But
for that print.
Geez. Yeah. And so this is really neat. It's funny how they're billing it as Raphael as Frankenstein's monster. That's pretty neat. And
it's almost like he's like an actor. It's like he's acting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And I like the typeset and font is beautiful. Like, the whole thing is just the layout's gorgeous.
It is very good. And but I like what you said there. Now this is kind of a little bit tangential, but I had this thing, and I think I've mentioned it before, where like, we talk about comic books and stuff and we wonder why how the timeline is and how some stories don't line up and the inconsistencies in comics. And I've kind of had this like narrative in my head that like, what if all comic books that we receive are not like the actual story, like from like the horse's mouth, if you will, but are actually just retellings of a story that's been passed down, or like, that's like, hey, I heard this happen the other day, and somebody just approximates it. And then that's how we get the comic book narrative and things like that. The fact that you just said that about the movies and the actors, like that kind of gives this a whole new dimension.
You're kind of moving into what makes me actually love like 40K lore as much as I do. Like 40K like books and stuff is the fact that it does the same thing.
Right.
Like if you actually look deep enough into it, like metatextually, like almost all of it is recountings and people's accounts. Doesn't mean that's how it happened. Doesn't mean the narrator's reliable. So when you actually boil it down, you're like, what facts do we have about a lot of this? Not a lot of facts. So people can just keep writing for it. And it's just so well done.
Yeah,
and that's the same thing as the same kind of idea. I love when that happens in stories. I'm a huge fan of unreliable narrator in general. But that is a very interesting like global concept of like what if these are just like recollections, because it's always from someone's point of view.
Absolutely.
Like now it's always got a tilt to it.
It does. So we could even say that like maybe this is what the Turtles did after season 10. Like everything kind of calmed down and they grew up a little bit.
Oh, nice.
To go into acting, and they get jobs as monsters because that way people aren't sure if they're real or not. Like, because it's all makeup and stuff. Like, so that's kind of a neat thing. So I'm glad you brought that up. But
what if they live in what if it's just from an alternate dimension, like an alternate reality where
that's true.
All the humans destroy themselves and only mutants survive, and now they're in all the movies.
That could be a thing too. Another thing is that see the red light on him, that could be from the red skies from season 10 of the animated series. So there's a lot of layers here that could possibly come true.
Maybe does he have to put out the red light?
Oh,
Sting doesn't think so.
I don't think Sting thinks so, especially if it's Roxanne as Raphael as Frankenstein's monster, then maybe that could be the case.
Now we're starting to peel back too many layers of the onion.
That's
you know
true.
What I'm saying? We could say some things here that might get us in a lot of trouble. You know what I'm saying, frankly.
So we might Frankensteinly, yes. Now here we have the back of the box. And like you said, these are all the photos from the press release that we've already seen, just kind of like put into a collage for the back of the box. And it says, "It's alive! Raphael is Frankenstein's monster.
Oh, yeah.
He's been shell-shocked. See a terrifying turtle with attitude. Pure terror from the sewer. Warning, the monster is loose. Beware his shocking sigh." And That's fantastic. Those are great. And yeah, that's that. Let's see here. What else do we have here? We have some inbox photos, which is cool. We've seen this before.
Yep.
We saw that, but that still just looks fantastic.
Big question I had for you.
Okay.
If you want to show the actual like figure instead of just like the picture,
Right. There you go.
Is this like a pro painted version of him that is then put in this box like to show you, or is this like what you're gonna see like when you buy it?
My understanding is that this is the actual thing that you will be receiving.
That's a production run.
This is
production boy.
Yes. Yeah, okay. This is production.
I mean, I'm seeing a lot of what I loved in the version of the figure that was in the photograph. That was like during in all the photographs. He looks really good.
He does. He looks fantastic.
Is that real metal chain? That looks like a lot like real metal chain.
It should be, but the fact that it's not just plastic, or at least it's not just molded plastic, that goes a long way. Even if it was just like a little plastic chain, that'd be fine. But I'm pretty sure this is metal.
But that looks like true metallic metal.
It probably is.
That's the only thing that makes me think it's not that's the boy. That's the pro painted one. Is I don't see a lot of true metallic metal on a lot of these guys usually. Yeah, and those look like true metallic metal to me.
I think they
like
are.
Because like the little the plates with the handles that are like kind of riveted to the bottom of his jacket.
Yeah.
Just above his dangly bits.
Yeah, that wardrobe mouth. Like, God bless wardrobe people, because they got to look at all this stuff and be a little bit depraved like we are, because I bet they didn't even think of this, the way this looks. But
if that's true metallic metal, I am very impressed.
Let's see if getting in closer, if getting in closer helps.
Yeah, just a little on his downstairs mix up. Yeah, so then we get.
Yeah. Well, see the way that it's.
I mean, it's at least
dangling.
Washed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. So it's definitely not molded plastic. That's not molded on.
Yeah.
The part I don't have a finger like on the screen to show you, but there is a link that is connected to the whatever this other giant metal part is, that's keeping the chain from just like falling off. It's kind of tethered to it, but
yeah.
But yeah, that's let's see.
It looks like.
I think it is. So
it looks like Robotop metal. Like, if it's not, that means it's highlighted really well, which is cool, because that gets into like non-metallic metal, which is actually harder to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where you're actually like not using metallic, but you're like literally painting it up to make it glare off as if it was true metallic.
Right. No, this is metal chain.
So
I'd be surprised if it was.
Well,
I'd be surprised.
I'm very interested to see this guy in hand. If this is what NECA's like putting out like on the shelf, I'm highly impressed with what I see. Oh, yeah. I mean, severely highly impressed.
Right.
If there is such a thing.
Now
like, I am all over that.
Yeah, I am too. This is already in my Big Bad Toy Store pre-order box. So yeah. So one last thing before we move on, they have an image of the side of the box, which gives us a little bit of a tease. 2 teases to be exact. So let's see if I can pull that up real quick. Okay, here we go. So, we got the front of the box, so we've already seen. We got Raphael on the side. We got Leo, which we will talk about momentarily because there are some differences there. But then we get some reveals in the way of Michelangelo and presumably April O'Neil as we got Mikey as the Mummy and April O'Neil as Bride of Frankenstein. I'm assuming it's April. It could be Donatello. I don't know.
That
could
Mikey
be another character. Who knows?
So cool.
But Mikey,
just that eye.
Yeah.
That eye looking at you. That looks so good.
It does.
Oh, I'm actually super excited about that.
I'm very excited. Yeah, this is gonna be rad, and I am super stoked on that. And yeah, the April as Frankenstein's monster, or excuse me, the Bride of Frankenstein. They are. The only thing I can make out on them is that there looks to be some spikes on their shoulder, kind of like almost like if it's a collar, possibly. And there's the definite streak in the hair that's there, but obviously it's blacked out because they're. I feel like on the box it's gonna be
On the
there. Like,
box, it'll be a bit. Yeah,
but this is done
absolutely.
probably in post. But Michelangelo looks fantastic. One eye open, just kind of dusty looking.
Gripping his pillow tight.
You grew up right, and
That's what it looks like.
it is, it is. But then if we go up, we see Leonardo.
Oh, that's a different color
This is
hair
this
on
is
his head.
different. Now this is
That's a Billy Goat's Gruff down there. What is
it's
got going
true.
on with that chin?
I was gonna say it looks similar to some of the pictures that we have of Farmer Greg, friend of the show, longtime
Yep.
producer of the show, Farmer Greg. Some of
Yes.
this it looks very similar to him.
More than a passing resemblance. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
mostly just in the hair, but still, this
Yes.
is vastly different than what we saw previously a couple months ago, where
it's very
they revealed some. So I have a picture that I have made. Let me see, a composite, if you will. Let me see if I
Oh,
can
we
pull
got a
that up.
composite compare and contrast situation
Ooh,
going on?
yeah, I gotta zoom out quite a bit real quick here. So let's see here. So there we go.
Okay.
So above you have the back of the side of the box for Raphael as Frankenstein's monster, which has Leonardo with bushy reddish brown eyebrows and a goatee that's fairly long.
This
Below
long,
that,
yeah.
I have the Leonardo that was put out in a promo shot from NECA that has more subdued hair on the eyebrows, and it's plastic.
That looks like a whole.
And then the chin.
That looks like
here,
a whole different mold.
It looks very different.
The chin hair is without a doubt longer. Like you could make an accounting for the first image we got,
right,
with it being with the light being down,
yeah,
it being so like kind of sparsely lit that maybe like the color doesn't come through as much as it would in a well lit photo like that.
right.
The Leo that I'm seeing right there, though, in the box image, looks like a digital drawing. Like that
It
doesn't
does
even
look like a
like
digital
figure.
drawing. That's what I was going to
Like
say.
that doesn't even look right to me. So
It does look like a rendering.
I buy the bottom image a ton more than I buy that top one. To
right.
be 100 with you.
Now, because the validity is for the bottom one is that we saw this is the only image that we've seen of this Leonardo from NECA officially. I think.
Yeah.
There was. I think I talked about.
You got some back shots from a person on Instagram, I believe.
Yes.
Like another content creator, right?
It was the person that takes the actual photographs for these toys. I think they posted a back shot of Leonardo. Okay. I don't have it up right now, but yeah. But it confirmed that his swords do go in the back of his shell, like through his shell.
Yeah.
And they confirmed some other stuff there, but it's the same figure and the same scenery as we saw with the bottom photo, like the rest of it. And that leads to me to believe that the bottom one is more of a production, and the top one that was on the box art or the box packaging for Raphael is a digital rendering. But I'm just confused as to why Michelangelo, because Michelangelo looks vastly like different, like in the sense that that looks like a production figure of Michelangelo.
It does. It looks like it was given the same lighting treatment as Raph.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like it looks like it was like studio shot really well. Can you zoom in again on those guys?
Yeah.
It looks like he was lit up like Raph was, with like the two shades of color. He's got kind of a green on his left side, it's very light, and then that red light on the right, and that looks more production-ish. And then you scroll up to Leo, and he looks like someone did him in the Photoshop. And then you go up to Raph, and that's just a picture of the figure.
Exactly.
Like
now.
So
yeah,
I don't know. That Leo's very weird.
It's very weird. His eye doesn't look as weird as it does in the other photo.
But they can't fix that, right? So I guess my question for you is, because you know a little bit more about the timeline on these guys.
Yeah.
So if they do a reveal, like let's say they revealed the one-off shot of Leo, and people are like, I hate that. Like it's some Sonic the Hedgehog movie level, like, or it's like I won't buy that. That is garbage town. And everyone says it, and they're like blown out. They're like, I can't believe no one likes this. Like, we loved this, and we thought it was great, but like, no one will buy it. They can't change that sculpt and go retool and like make and change him, can they? And
Not
still meet release?
no
Like there's almost no way, right? Like those guys are in
no
box. Like
yeah
they're coming
not
from China right now, right? Like there's no way.
right at the very least. Two of them are, I would say. Uh, uh yeah, because no, they couldn't. They wouldn't have enough time to do a turnaround because it's not as simple. I say simple, but in comparison to the Sonic the Hedgehog movie that you're referencing, where they could go back in, apply something digitally
It's
to
still a
it.
ton of work. I mean, it was a
Oh,
ton
it's a
of work
bunch
for
of
them to
work,
fix that, but they can
but
because
they
the movies it's not like they have to like remake dies to like mold up, like, do you know what I mean? It's not like
well.
that.
The thing is that there's so many meetings that happen with the overseas manufacturers that
Mm-hmm.
the toy companies in America will fly over and they'll have meetings and they'll talk about stuff and they'll look at stuff. They'll get production stuff and they'll look at it. It's very similar to vinyl with test pressings and stuff. And they'll
Yeah,
say
yeah.
like what works and what doesn't, or can we do this differently and whatnot. And all that has been
Mm-hmm.
forever in the past has been happening. This has been going on for probably about a year and a half to 2 years in the making.
That's what I'm saying.
So
That's what I would think, because
so
I know
yeah.
from like everything from board games do the same thing. Board game
Mhm.
manufacturers
Yeah.
go to China and they figure stuff out. And when they're printing a board game, guess what? It's printed. So
Yeah.
if they reveal like, look at our game, it's gonna come out. People are like, that looks stupid. They there's no changing it.
There's no
It's already
changing
been
it. Now
printed.
the
It's happening. And then yeah, and obviously miniatures, wargaming miniatures is the
mhm.
same, a closer process where
Yeah.
those molds have happened. So
Right.
if you get a reveal, people are like, I hate that model. People are like, the miniature company's like, well, it sucks we have 5,000 of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
already over.
So the cool thing is that NECA, the people behind NECA, they're super fans of this stuff. They're not amateurs either.
Yeah.
And
Oh, of
but they're
course not. Of
but they're
course not.
definitely people that are fans of this stuff. So if they
Yeah.
don't feel like they're gonna, it's different than like Mattel is doing it or like Hasbro. Now
Sure.
Hasbro and Mattel, they do have brand managers, and like the they have specific groups that handle these different toy lines, and there's fans in there too, I'm sure. But it feels a little bit different with NECA. It feels a little bit more personal than it does
Yeah.
the big two. And I feel like if that was a situation where they were like, no, like this just looks horrible, we can't do it. Either they would have already made that decision and fixed it beforehand, or they would do a thing that I believe the Four Horsemen, who are a part of Super 7, they've done in the past with their He-Man lines, where they've made extra parts and either sold them like separately, like been like, here's a package of a bunch of things, or
Okay.
here's a bunch of different heads for these different characters, and here's this one that we fixed that we messed up on the production one. But they do something like that. Or Hasbro even actually a year or so ago, I believe it was I'm gonna mess this up, I think, but it was the White Thunder, Dino Thunder Ranger, I think. He came with a helmet that wasn't accurate. And so all you had to do was write into
Oh.
Hasbro and just tell them, hey, you could submit a ticket and they would send you a corrected helmet. And and I did that and I got it. And so that's something else they could do if there's a problem with like a specific piece, essentially. But that's few and far between. That it does happen, but it's very rare. However, here I think this was just a digital rendering. And I was going to say this. So we had gotten word that these were coming out a couple months ago through a Target
Yeah.
link,
Uh-huh.
and where people had
Yeah.
found it on their in their computer system. And I believe Raphael, Michelangelo, and I don't remember the third one. It might have been Leonardo, but I don't think it was. I could be mistaken. But Michelangelo was definitely on there, which leads me to believe that
Yes.
Mikey and Raph were two of the ones that were like, they're going first. Like that could be it. And
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, if I'm not mistaken, this does make the SKUs right.
yeah.
Like
So
if what we see on the side of this box, it was
right.
Michelangelo's Mummy, Leo is as the Hunchback, Raph is Frankenstein, and April is Bride of Frankenstein, and that seems like that's what's playing out.
Yeah. See, I remember there being three. I couldn't remember if there was four. There might have been another one that came out, but just in my recollection, there was three.
I
And
can double check it.
Yeah, I can't quite remember, but nevertheless, I do remember Michelangelo being on there. So that would stand to reason as to why he might look a little bit more along, like finished, than Leonardo does, because at the time when the box was being made, he might not have been as far along as the other two. So they might have made Raphael, Michelangelo. Then they were working on Leonardo, and then they were going to work on Bride of Frankenstein, presumably April O'Neil. And that could explain why we also don't see her on the box in fully. We just see her silhouette essentially, and that could explain why Leonardo looks different. She's blacked out, but yet the two that were the first ones they worked on were the ones that look the most like the end product. And so that would explain the digital rendering of the hair and whatnot, or at least what it looks like to us as digital rendering on Leonardo, which I gotta say, going back to this composite image, I gotta say that, yeah, the way they went with the not the stringy hair and everything, just that looks way better. Yeah, that's infinitely times better. And so that's really neat. But yeah. So
I'm seeing three.
Okay.
So it was I actually have the image from Twitter of the Target display, like where they have the things digitally, the tags. It is Leo as the Hunchback. It is Raph as Frankenstein's monster, and Michelangelo as the Mummy.
Okay.
So she was never included in that original leak or whatever.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm very interested to see which way this is going to shape up. I mean, now, like, it could have just been that they, didn't have the photos they wanted for Leo, and they had an artist mock it up, and it wasn't very accurate. That could have been a concept drawing of Leo, frankly, and they just didn't they just don't want to reveal his full photo shoot yet, so they gave us one photo, and then they don't want to put that on the side of the box. It's obviously the side of that box has been tampered with. Because April's not revealed, April, do you know what I mean? And obviously on the side of the box, she would be, if they're trying to sell you those figures, she would be there.
Right, but what I was saying...
So, I mean, that's not what Raph's going to ship with.
I don't think so. I don't think
those images on the side.
Right.
But it just doesn't look right.
Right.
I don't know why. It looks like the whole thing was photoshopped, frankly.
Yeah, well, like I was saying, I think that this was what the image we have here of the box was also going on whenever they were working on these figures. So Leo might not have been done yet, but they had a rough idea of what it was going to look like.
Yeah.
And that's what's here.
Yeah.
And we're seeing this, and this is actually from months ago. So that could very well be the case. But nevertheless,
true.
That's cool. True. That's really cool. I'm excited about Michelangelo. I'm excited about all these. I'm going to be getting all of them. And I'm really excited that it's I saw some people complaining about how, well, if they were really upset that Donatello wasn't in the first four, and I'm like, you don't want to do that, because if you're going to have 8 figures, you probably want to throw a turtle in the next one to kind of balance it to some degree. And that's fantastic. So I'm really excited, and I want to know, real quick before we go, who do you think is going to be, you don't have to mention who they're going to play, but what characters do you think are going to be showing up in this line? Because at the very least, if there's, just to keep things even, we've got one Ninja Turtle we haven't seen yet. And in April, we already know April's coming in this line via the box. So who are the other three?
What if it was Irma as Bride of Frankenstein, dude, and they blew you out?
That's what I'm hoping for. That would
badass. I would love to get alley-ooped like that. Totally. I'd love to just be like, April is and then it's loud and wrong, because they're like, and it's Irma, and she looks so good. Right. I can see Irma looking so good, even though
absolutely.
NECA isn't really good on that line, right? I mean, they're not. Do they get into the more of the extended cartoon universe as much? With these Irma. Type.
Yeah.
I guess they do. Yeah. Okay. You're right. Okay. So I guess I would love to get blown out. I'd love to get blown out
now, that. Would you be blown out if it was actually Casey that was Bride of Frankenstein?
Let's
like,
go. I mean, of course, yes, I'd be blown out. I'd be
that
totally
would be
blown out. Yes.
totally unexpected.
Master Splinter as Bride of Frankenstein.
That would be amazing.
100% blown out.
I would love that. Yeah, I'm curious because like we're not sure if this is what version of the Turtles this is.
Yeah.
Like we don't really know. NECA does the movie figures and they do the cartoon figures. So
yeah,
we haven't. Well, and they did comics back in the day, and they do the video game stuff. So they run the gamut of all the stuff.
They kind of run the gamut there, yeah.
But like, I'm just very curious if it's gonna be like more villains. Like if they stick to supporting characters, you've got Splinter, Irma, and like the other news like cast from Channel 6 potentially, or you could go bad guys, which I think they're probably gonna go. That might be the best, more balanced way to go. You could get like a Shredder, Krang as an accessory, so technically there's 4 villains, and then you can have Bebop and Rocksteady as something, because they've shown us that they really enjoy making Bebop and Rocksteady variants. And I'll be honest with you, I will buy all of them, because Bebop and Rocksteady as dressed up as anything, like especially from the Adventures comics and some of those later, like more mid season episodes of the 1987 animated series.
I'm hoping
fantastic.
if they stay in the Frankenstein, I'm hoping for Donnie as Dr. Frankenstein.
That would be neat.
Would be sick.
That would
be so sick.
Yeah.
That's all I need. You know what I'm saying? You can delay Donnie, it's fine. But like let's him as like, I mean, a mad scientist that looks like truly insane would be amazing. And they've got room. And they also have Igor.
They do.
I mean, they have Leo as Igor. They're sticking with this. I mean, the mummy's not Frankenstein,
right?
But they're putting a lot of Frankenstein into this,
right?
So
because you could have easily overlooked Igor and just had Leo be somebody else,
absolutely,
and you would have had plenty of room. But they're leaning into this with Frankenstein stuff. So
they still have like Creature from the Black Lagoon. They still have, there's so many other Universal monsters that they have to play with. So.
Yeah. So that's very exciting. So that's that. So what do you guys want to see? Do you like, are there some Universal monsters that we've forgotten about that you want to see NECA do? What are your thoughts on this? Do you think it's going to be April as the Bride of Frankenstein? Is it going to be Casey? Who knows? Let us know, turtlesoupshow@gmail.com, or write us in the comments below. That'd be legit. And so else time.